Wanda, breaking up of the video. What gets planned gets done. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom. Welcome to day 89 of our Supersize Your Business Annual Challenge. Let's talk about this today. I don't know about you, but I've been in business for a long time, like over 5 decades. Different businesses, different industries, lots of different businesses, a lot of different industries. Some I was super excited about, some not so much. Some I got into and I thought, oh my God, this is it. This is going to be the one for me. Only to find out that I hated it and it sucked the soul and the life right out of me. I won't share what industry that is, but I'm sure we'll talk about it down the road. So today we are looking at planning for our second quarter. We're focusing on finances and financial health and well-being this month, which is probably arguably one of the most critical for making sure our business is a success. And we've talked about the different topics and the reason that is. Vast majority of businesses fail, not because they're not a good idea or not a great business, but because they run out of money and they don't understand where and how they can get more money to keep their business running and flowing. Sometimes they just have a really bad business model that they're following. Great idea, great business, but they're following the wrong model. They're chasing the wrong person's advice, or they're reading and trying to figure it out on their own, and they run out of money. Or something crazy like the COVID pandemic comes down the pipe and wipes their entire business out. Actually, millions of people lost their businesses during that time period, and it really makes me sad and breaks my heart because a lot of them never will try again, because I'll be like, well, I failed at business this one time due to something outside of my control, therefore I'm never going to do it again, which makes me really sad because I firmly believe every single one of us, whether we have a job or not, should have some other form of income. And the most profitable way to do that is to have your own business, or side hustle as it's called in the internet world, which is such a silly name. All right. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about our quarter 2 financial plan and what our goal is for quarter 2. We want to make sure we identify different areas and we set goals in each of those areas. Now, it's cool when you have a team, because guess what you do? You spread the responsibility for this out amongst your team. The people that are in charge of the job should be the ones setting the goals for that time period, and they need to make sure, and your job as the leader or the team leader or your CEO, whoever it is to make sure that all those goals are in alignment with the long-term goals of, or that this year's annual goals, as well as our lifelong legacy goals for a business. So what do we want to do? We want to review our targets. Chances are you've already done this for your business. If you haven't, I'm going to ask, why the heck not? It's like the organization I joined that was making over $100 million a year that had never done budgets. I'm like, are you kidding? A budget is just a plan, right? It's just an overarching plan for targets and little goals for each of our different departments in each of our different areas and for the business as a whole. Guess what? The next year, after they started doing plans, they doubled their annual sales. They doubled the results that they had. They doubled their profitability, which is pretty awesome. That is one of the powers of planning. So we're going to review our targets if we've got them set already. If you don't have any set, you need to set targets for quarter 2 today, and then we've got tomorrow to review them and go over them and combine and make sure that it's in alignment with the overarching goals for this year, etc. But if we don't plan, we fail. Vague goals, just like vague plans, or just a shot in the dark, or not speaking to who you really want to work with, will bring you a whole lot of people that you don't want to work with, which I'm finding is the exercise that almost every business owner goes through in order to figure out who they really want to serve and who they really want to work with. I am the same way. I have had in different businesses and different industries. You think I would have learned it the first time, but of course I didn't. It had to be served up to me for repeated lesson reinforcement before I actually said, okay, wait, stop. I need to target who I really want to work with, not who I don't want to work with, or heaven forbid, everybody. Because vague messages land on no one, especially the louder the world gets around us, the more things are vying for our attention and the people that we're here to serve's attention. And we have a finite amount of attention. There's infinite possibilities, but we each as human beings only have so much bandwidth that we can handle. And anything above our bandwidth, anything that makes us feel unsafe, our brain will just filter out. That's what our subconscious does. It keeps us safe and filters it out. So We want to review our targets if we've got them set already. If we don't have them set, we're going to set quarterly goals. Guess what? It doesn't have to take a long time. Sit down on a napkin with a piece of paper and just write down what are our sales goals? What are our profit margin goals? What are our cash reserve goals? If you don't do anything else, set those 3. Also, we talked about cash flow. If you don't have a cash reserve and a cash reserve goal, I challenge you to set that today as well. And for me personally, in my businesses, we have at least a 6-month cash reserve goal for overarching. And again, during the pandemic, that wouldn't have been enough in some businesses, but in others, it's more than enough. And so we stole from some businesses to keep other businesses going. We didn't steal, we just transitioned and shared to keep everything and all the balls in the air that I wanted to keep in the air during the pandemic. All right, so what are we going to do today? Share in the comments below your number 1 most important revenue goal for the second quarter of this year. Maybe it's to reduce debt. Maybe it's to build that cash reserve so that you've got it as insurance or backup. Maybe it's to look at your insurance. Any of the topics that we talked about this month, we talk about them to bring them to the forefront and to shine a light and get attention on them so that you make sure that you're covering them all. Because like I said, the vast majority of people that lost their businesses during the pandemic did so because they were either not prepared. I didn't have, global pandemic in any of my emergency action plans. It's in there now, but I didn't then because we didn't think of it. And we don't know a lot of what is outside of our control, right? It's not our business, so we don't know until it impacts us and becomes our business. So we're going to do that. And then the other thing we want to talk about is the R in our super process this year, and it stands for review. Funnily enough, which is what we'll be doing tomorrow about the whole month. We're going to I took the last day of this month to summarize because I think it's such a critical month. And then I want to share a few more tools that I didn't get a chance to cover during the daily topics this month. But the R stands for review. So we're going to review weekly. I have a set of key performance indicators. I call them. I just call them metrics or whatever, measures. I should give it a fancy name. I'm going to do that. But I have a set of things that I look at actually every single day. I look at certain things. Then there's certain things I look at weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually. And I do reviews. We have built-in reviews for our processes and systems as a business so that we don't miss things. Whenever there's a change, a material change of any type in our business, whoever the owner of that change is responsible for making sure that they track through the ripple effect of all the different areas that it impacts in the organization and that it's taken into consideration. So we review our processes, our documented processes and systems. We review quality. We review the impact it could have on any other department or division. And we make sure that that's communicated and that they then add to maybe the emergency action plan needs to be changed. Whatever it is, each department head is responsible then for ensuring that that change is made in their processes and in their systems. All right. So if you want to share in the comments below your review and what you're going to look at weekly, quarterly, or anyone, that would be very helpful so we can learn from one another. All right. If you need help with any of this, because I covered a lot today, just ask. Reach out and ask. Have an awesome day. And I'll, of course, see you tomorrow. Bye.